um, because it's something that fascinated me right from the beginning. And what it was really about was that I'm not human-centric, let's put it that way. My feeling about life, consciousness, is not really oriented to human beings because, quite frankly, I'm not very impressed. It has always seemed extraordinary to me the way in which consciousness operates in terms of the whole consciousness field. And I had a very strange thing that happened to me in the process of receiving the information. I had a dog with me. And when I went into my encounter, my dog literally collapsed. The inanimate has problems today, I'm telling you. And I actually, in my ruina, where I went through the experience, I actually remember pushing this animal that did not breathe, pushing it under my desk. And when on the second day I was introduced to what would be human design, that I was instructed how to draw out the body graph, my feet were on my dog under the desk. And there was a question in me that I never articulated. I never said anything, actually, throughout that experience. And the question was, does my dog have the same design as me? And it's one of my favorite things about the dog is that it really was the key that opened up the door to all the various designs of form. And there's so many of them. Human is one thing. But to be able to see that there is a distinct differentiation in every single thing. Everything about life, everything about the form principle is that the form principle is oriented towards one thing and one thing only. That is to be able to provide the possibility of what we call self-reflected consciousness. Everything about form, everything about it is moving in this way. And when you look at each of the individual forms, not only do you get a very profound insight into the nature of this knowledge, but you also see something else. You get to see this evolutionary movement, because that's exactly what it is. It's an evolutionary movement. What we begin with is we begin with the most simple. And when you begin with the most simple, for me, the most simple is ultimately the most profound. There is something absolutely extraordinary about the 25th gate. I mean, there's something absolutely extraordinary about it. This morning, there's a book I often open up while I'm having a cup of coffee, and it tells all kinds of mythological stories across every culture of the planet. And I was thumbing through it this morning looking for creation stories. You know, there's all these incredible creation stories that you have from all these various cultures. Aside from the Adam being made out of clay, some of the most fantastic ones are creation entities that emerged out of rocks. I mean, out of rocks. There's one that's described in which there's this great hole that's, bored into this rock so that this thing can gestate within the rock. There's an evolutionary train. If you look at the inanimate, it has a gate. There is no channel. The lacking of the channel is the missing ingredient to life. When you look at the single cell and you see one channel, you see the potential of life and the life force, but you don't see the potential yet of consciousness. When you finally get to see a circuit, you get to see the potential of consciousness. That is, the moment that you move from the single cell to the plant, you get into circuitry, you get to the beginnings of what consciousness can be, the way consciousness can move out of form. But it says something extraordinary about the inanimate, is that the inanimate is always, in a sense, ready to be alive. I mean, that's the thing that's so extraordinary about the 25th gate. If you look at the illustration, I haven't done this in years. I really enjoyed it, making illustration booklets for students. If you look at the illustration, you're looking at the 25th gate and it's pointed across that channel at the 51. But there's no 51. There's no heart center. There's nothing. There's the void in that sense. But it is looking for it. It is pointed at it. And the most extraordinary thing to understand about the nature of the inanimate is that, in fact, the inanimate is life that's dormant. It's not inanimate at all. It's just a label. It's not. It's alive. Within the, if I can create a grand metaphor for the Biverse that we live in, that the inanimate, as we understand it, is in essence the blood and the bones, if you will, of the totality. It is the material essence. It is the clay that is used to evolve all of these extraordinary forms. And every single inanimate object breathes the potential of life. I'm a 5125. And when I was 16 years old, a friend of mine took me to a park in Montreal, where I grew up. And he gave me my first LSD trip. And the park was lovely, and it was a park that was filled with wonderful stones, big stones. And he sat me down near these stones. And I ended up with my back nestled against this stone, experiencing this first hallucinogenic experience. And I'm a 51. Shock is a natural thing for me. I got the shock of my life. The rock moved. It was the shock of my life. It was like, what? Rocks don't do that. They are inanimate objects. And it was an extraordinary experience for me. It was coupled with what happened to me in grade 3. I will never forget my science teacher in grade 3. Bless her heart. I cannot remember her name. But wherever she is and whatever, she grew crystals for us. And that's a bizarre thing. I mean, it's not alive. Or is it? There we were watching these things grow. And there's this kind of funny thing that happens to your own consciousness. It's like, well, between the crystals growing and the rock moving, I've had moments in my life where it was clear to me there's something very strange about the inanimate. People that know me personally know that I give names to everything. My car, my computers, there isn't a thing that I don't have that doesn't have a name. I mean, I even give names to the things I eat, which is really bizarre. But that's my own problem. But anyway, the inanimate is incredible. I come from a long line of magicians. The inanimate is an amazing thing. Amazing, because it has incredible things, have incredible power. They have incredible power. And every once in a while, if you meet them on the other side, you understand that it's there in them. So, in talking about the inanimate, I don't want you to think of the cold infrastructure of this totality, because it isn't. It's the real miracle. And when you finally get down to, all these layers of evolution, and you get to us, and you look at our design, and you look at the 25th gate, this is the gate of universal love. This is the gate of blood. This is the gate of the shaman and the priestess. This is the gate of the spirit of the self. This is the gate. And this is the very, very core of everything, because that's what we are. I mean, these bags of flesh made up of inanimate material. Lots of it. Like the wonder of these brains that operate because of the benefit of inanimate elements in the brain. that give us the electricity and the firing of our neurons and whatever. We're nothing but a collection of inanimate infused with life. It's the Frankenstein story. No, it is. I mean, I identify with Frankenstein every day. I mean, not with him, with the monster. I mean, Frankenstein I got a problem with, but the monster, I really identify with the monster because that's what it's like. You take all this inanimate stuff and you put it all together in nice little patterns and you give it some juice and voila. And then people spend the rest of their lives looking for God. No, it's really a joke. But anyway, the inanimate's incredible. So, starting with the simple. Because most people are interested, things like plants, you deal with them all the time, animals in your life and all these things. But here, this is the place I really like. Because in here is an incredible mystery. I mean, it's an incredible mystery. Because this is the place where it says, life is something that is not an accident. Life is a predictable, logical thing that comes directly out of the potential of everything that is inanimate. Everything that is inanimate. There isn't anything that can't be alive. And within the larger context of the Biverse, this is one living thing. Not easy for anyone to identify with such a thing, but it is us and we are it. It's one huge living thing, which means that everything, whether it's this table, the wall, the carpet, is all part of the living fabric of the totality.